From trailers, interviews, and leaks, we already know that Rayman Legends Retold is supposed to be setting a foundation for Rayman moving forward, not only gameplay-wise but also story-wise, as Legends Retold is now going to have a proper villain, new voice acting, and even some returning characters like Batilla the Fairy. And with this being the case, this makes you wonder who else could possibly return in the future. So I just wanted to get on here and give my thoughts on who could potentially return for future titles. So we're going to start with the first Rayman game and work our way up to the most recent one. So starting off with Rayman 1, there's not that many choices except for one. That being the actual return of Mr. Dark. And the reason I say actual return is because even though he's appeared in future titles, it's not in the way that some people may have wanted. If you are familiar with the development of Rayman Origins, then you probably already know that Mr. Dark was going to reappear in that game. He was even on their official website and made a brief appearance in one of the trailers. But as we all know, he got cut from the final game in favor of the Magician, with the only connection between the two characters being that the Magician just admires Mr. Dark. He would later make a reappearance in Rayman Mini, but not as a main antagonist, but rather just an extra mode. So it's kind of unfortunate that a character like this just hasn't had the chance to be fleshed out in future titles, but I would say out of all the main Rayman villains, he probably has the highest chance of coming back. Moving on to Rayman 2, I have two entries here. The first and probably most obvious one is gonna be Lee the Fairy. Despite being a major character in Rayman 2, it's kind of surprising that they just never did anything else with her afterwards. She's had some brief appearances here and there in the handheld games as well as Rayman 3 and Rayman Arena, but after that she has not been seen since, not even as a cameo, and not even as an Easter egg, none of that. She's just kind of been left in the dust. And I think one of the reasons why that happened is because Batilla kind of already fills that role in for her, so having two fairy-like characters that assist Rayman would be kind of redundant. But there is a chance that she could be coming back. I discussed this in a previous video, but there was a leaker that did talk about the fact that legacy characters would be making a return, and one of those characters included Lee the Fairy. Now that doesn't automatically mean that she's set to appear in Legends Retold or anything like that, but considering that leaker was pretty spot on with what they were saying, I would say at the very least, we might be able to see a cameo from her. Now onto my second decision on who could return from Rayman 2, I'm gonna go with a somewhat bold and weird choice and say somebody from Glowbox's family. We all know that Glowbox has a wife and 650 children for some reason, but after their appearance in Rayman 2, they were kind of forgotten about. Although his wife was gonna be in Origins, she was unfortunately cut from the game. But even with that being the case, in both Rayman Origins and Legends, the Glowbox species makes a lot of appearances outside of the skins. We have the Red Wizards in the Sea and Serendipity, as well as the Mystical Peak, as well as these statues that appear in Olympus Maximus. And I always just found it strange that Glowbox's species gets a lot of emphasis in the UbiArt games, almost as if they wanted to delve deeper into the backstory of them but just never got the chance. And with Legends Retold and possibly any other future titles, it's clear that they want to flesh out these characters and tell a proper story. So while the chances are slim, I wouldn't be too surprised if they possibly brought back Glowbox's family just so they can expand on it a little bit more. And that's about it for Rayman 2, and we can jump straight into Rayman Origins. And for my choice, it's gonna be the rest of Batilla's sisters. Why? Because I just want to see them all in 3D, that's why. Nah, but for real, if I'm being honest, I do think they should appear more, as I want them to be a little bit more fleshed out just like Batilla. But not only that, there's probably a good chance that they were supposed to be in the original Rayman Legends. As in the case of Edith Up, she's the only fairy from Rayman Origins to get translated over into the Legends art style. This was found in early builds of Rayman Fiesta Run, and while this probably would not have been a whole lot to go off of, there's actually some concept art of her where she could have potentially made an appearance in Rayman Legends, with one of the storyboard cutscenes in particular showing that she got captured by the armored toad. So while she is the only case of this, it's still interesting to know that she was considered to be put in this game. And with Legends Retold clearly expanding the game with new levels, it makes me wonder if maybe the other fairies are gonna return as well. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention her, but I also see a possibility of Big Mama returning. She is the optional but true final boss of Rayman Origins, origins, as well as the overseer of the Land of the Living Dead. Early trailers seemed to point her as the primary antagonist until that was changed to the magician in the final game. As a result, when we finally fight her in the final game, all we get is a wink and that's it. We don't really know what she does in the Land of the Living Dead or how close she is with her other sisters. But since we know that the Land of the Living Dead is getting expanded upon and is potentially where the main villain is gonna be at, I think this would be the perfect chance to reintroduce her character and expand on her a little bit. But with that, we could finally move on to our next game, and I'm not gonna lie, some of y'all are gonna say I'm a little bit crazy with picking this character, but just hear me out real quick. I honestly believe that the captain from Rayman Adventures would be a nice addition. Now, why on earth would I pick a random one-off character from a spin-off mobile game? Well, part of the reason is mostly coming down to the fact that I think he would help the characters get around when it comes to being on a new adventure. Yeah, I know that's not really the greatest excuse, and I know some people are gonna bring up the mosquitoes, or now in Legends Retold you now have the dragons to get around, but if they're gonna be expanding upon the lore of the games as well as the world itself, having a character that literally travels around on a flying Viking ship would be a nice addition to have when it comes to exploring new areas. And I mean, just look at him, wouldn't you want to travel around with somebody like this? And for our last character, this is one that I debated about because I really did not want to include them, but it just makes sense to include them at this point, so I'm just gonna rip the band-aid off. The Rabbids should come back. Now look, hear me out. I know for a lot of people, they hate the Rabbids. I hated them too. In fact, I wouldn't even just say I hated them, I loathed them. When I was a kid and I found out that Rayman 4 was cancelled in favor of Rayman Raving Rabbids, to say I was annoyed and disappointed was an understatement. But it only got worse as they slowly but surely started to fade Rayman out in favor of giving the Rabbids more attention. And when I say more attention, I genuinely mean more attention. We're talking games, TV shows, comic books, apparently a movie as well, and possibly the biggest slap in the face for me, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I still remember when this game was announced and all I could think to myself was that this should have been Rayman. I was just so tired of them focusing on the Rabbids so much when Rayman was right there. And sure, we got a sequel where Rayman was a part of the DLC, and I love that DLC, I really do. But there will always be a part of me that just wishes that we got Mario plus Rayman Kingdom Battle, as he just felt way more deserving of it than the Rabbids. But despite saying all of this, they have their place in the franchise. Love them or hate them, they're just not gonna go away. And while I'm not sure if Rayman and the Phantom Show is canon or anything like that, if the ending was anything to go off of, it's clear that Rayman himself doesn't mind them too much now, but there's also a good chance of them returning, as in one of my past videos we talked about this map that was shown in the background for Legends Retold, and there's literally a location called the Rabbids Landing Site. And we already know that the Rabbids were going to appear in the original Rayman Legends, but they were cut in favor of just being put in Rayman Adventures. So it's obviously clear that they have more plans for the Rabbids. We don't know if it's gonna be in this game, but it's clear that they're gonna be here to stay moving forward. And honestly, I'm okay with it. But with that, that's gonna be the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm getting a little bit off topic here, but I know from my community posts, some people really want to see me talk about Kirby, and I actually did have a video in the works, but I eventually scrapped it because I just did not like it at all. But what I am gonna do instead, as well as find a way to get more gameplays up on my channel, I'm gonna be doing a supercut video for Kirby's Dream Land and Kirby's Adventure. And I'm gonna do the same thing for the Dark Matter trilogy, which consists of Dreamlands 2, 3, and Kirby 64. It's gonna be a bit before I can get those out, but I've really been wanting to do Kirby content since you guys been wanting it, and I think I finally know what I want to do. But with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see y'all next time.